Hello, and welcome back to the Modeling Success in Action podcast. I'm your host, Jessica, and today I am joined by the fantastic Becky Mai. She is a spiritual visionary, certified life coach, and high ticket sales strategist and heart centered business mentor for powerful, passionate, and purposeful high performance women. She's dedicated to helping female entrepreneurs upgrade their self worth and net worth through inner work, identity work, and proven strategies. If you have big dreams, desires, and goals, Becky will help you collapse time and quantum leap to your new reality. Welcome, Becky.
Oh, hi, Jessica. I'm so happy to be here. So
It's so great to
awesome.
have you on. Uh, I was just saying to Becky right before we started that I think that this conversation is super timely. I don't know, there must be something in the water, something in the air. I've had a lot of clients kind of coming with money on their minds and and getting kind of in their heads about it. So I want to like kind of really get this started. So Becky, tell me how. Okay, and I love all the alliteration in your bio. By the way, that was amazing. I felt like a little. I'm like, ooh, this is punchy. But tell us, how did you get into helping people really own their worth?
Yeah, thank you, Jessica. So I guess it started with my own journey. When I was 16, I started my own business. I started doing lashes. And so I worked in the beauty industry for around 5+ years, worked solely with females, very intimate relationships. And because I was so young, I was 16, a lot of my clients were anywhere from my age to usually around mid 20s, 30s, even 40s. So at a very young age, I had the privilege to be exposed to a huge range of people. And really, I think when you get skin in the game, like you're just out here living life, you learn so much from people, so much more than you will ever in school or work. But so I had that privilege, and it's kind of a unique experience. And so from there, it's interesting how I started seeing myself from like a third person point of view, because first I would be one to one working with my client, and then the other voice in my head was like, I'm 16, or I'm young and this person is older than me. And so there was a lot of internal conflict. And I had to really early on sit with myself and do the inner work to figure out how to distinguish my self-worth from the way I was showing up in my business. And what does it even mean to be worthy? Just a lot of themes, especially amongst young women. There's not really much of a playbook that we can refer to on how to do things. I think a lot of women just early on to around late 20s, even, I feel are in this muck. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't
Muck.
know what to focus on. It's a lot of mixed signals. So I don't even know if I answered your question, but that's where I started my deep dive into self-worth, because money came into the equation and we were talking about money. But it's interesting how when money comes in, it also brings up your beliefs and feelings around your worthiness.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like a lot of, especially if you're in like a service-based industry or something and you're going, are my services, is the value I bring worth
Yeah.
the ticket, like the cost of admission here. But I really loved how you said you were looking at yourself from the third person, right? You were zooming out and going, okay, what's actually going on here, which is really kind of cool, right? That's a very, that's the direction we want to go in when it comes to modeling is self-modeling, modeling what's actually going on here and seeing where the behavior is going sideways and where it's really useful and where we want to use more of the useful stuff and where we want to let go of that unuseful. So that was kind of neat that even at such a young age you were able to like float above it all and go, hey, I'm judging myself here and that's not useful.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So then how did you start to translate that to work with women?
Mm, yeah. I, okay, so a little brief overview. I think when I was 19, 18, 19, around there, I decided to go back to school for life coaching and counseling. And I was at a period in my life where I went to university for 2 years, decided this is not where my heart is. I don't feel passion towards this. I dropped out of university and I went full into my business. And that was kind of the school of life, taught me so much about myself. But at around 18, 19, I was making quite a bit of money and I still felt incredibly stressed out. I felt almost, I would say, even more stressed. There was just this feeling of like despair, hopelessness, fear, anxiety, and I knew something wasn't right. I think that's when I started my personal development inner work journey. I started reading books and watching podcasts and YouTube. But the sense that I was getting was on the external, I had so much change, but internally, there wasn't much change. And so there was a misalignment in my two worlds, which propelled me just through a series of events, propelled me to find out about life coaching. And I didn't even know this was a thing. And I'm like, oh, you can go to school for this. So I actually went in with the intention of let me just go and learn coaching and counseling to serve myself. I
Yeah.
wasn't thinking about, oh, I'm going to become a counselor, going to become a life coach. It was more so, we're going to be alive for however many more years. These are skills that are going to fundamentally make my life better. So I'm obsessed with growth and personal development and all of the good stuff. So I was like, let me just go. So I went, um, and that's when I realized a couple things. But one thing I learned was sometimes we can get so caught up in our own internal dialogue of I'm scared, I feel anxious, I feel stressed, all of these things. But when we can kind of switch the focus on who's in front of me and what can I do to serve them. So for me, I was still doing my business at the time. Um, Rather than be so engorged in my own inner world and starting to release some of that and come into someone else's world and look at like Jessica, like what does Jessica need? What makes Jessica smile and how can I best serve Jessica with what I have? I noticed it started to like all of that muck inside of me started to fizzle away, like emotional debris and thoughts that had been stuck for a long time. And in that process, I started to heal my own beliefs and wounds and fill those voids.
Hmm. It's so I love that you keep referring to it as muck. That's such an excellent way to describe what's happening, right? Because it's like a slog, right? Like it feels when we get caught up in it and we're like, stuck in what's happening in our own selves, it's mucky, it's messy, and it's not, it's not this beautiful thing that we want our lives to be. But when we focus outwards, right, that's where the magic happens. So many people, I hear them saying like, like I feel lost, or I need to go and find myself, and I'm like, you're right here, you're not lost,
Oh my
you're right
God.
here, right? What you need to do is focus outwards, and then you can see what you can do, and then all that stuff that you're like worried about, your feelings of worthiness will, when you start to focus outwards, you're going to see that it's all good, right?
Oh
Like
my
that you're
God.
totally good. So, oh, that's so beautiful. So, I'm really curious then. So, what role have you found that kind of, like having some faith or trust or even being
Mm.
spiritual, how does that play into, your view of the world, how you lead, how you serve, how you live your life and focus on other people?
Beautiful segue. Yeah. So I think right around that time was when I started to deepen my understanding of faith and spirituality. I didn't grow up religious. Um, and I think that like God, the divine, the greater, higher power has for a long time in my childhood was always kind of this like question mark, this unknown gap that never got filled in. Um, and I think for every person, sometime in everyone's life, they're going to have certain experiences or encounters that present, when you're very present, you just know that, okay, this is not a coincidence. This is an alignment or synchronicity or a sign, right? That's when you have your own internal knowing, your own experience with quote unquote God. So when I refer to God or source or divine, I'm really referring to this one universal energy that connects us all and is the same energy that is in trees and in flowers. That same
Yeah.
energy, that life force energy is in us.
I know
And
exactly what you're talking about, and this is how I love to explain it to my clients. And I actually had this really beautiful, like physical experience of this last night. I went out with, I have a really fun thing coming up, but it's probably going to be past by the time this is published. But we're taking a group out to do some forest bathing and outdoor hypnosis. So we went out for a forest bathing run through yesterday, and she, took me into the forest and let me have this experience. And at one point, she was, inviting us to touch things, pick things up, and touch the trees. And I was touching trees and feeling their vibrations. And then I came to this one tree and I touched it. And I was like, this tree is dead. And I looked up and I realized, yeah, it had been hit. Like the top half of the tree was gone, but just by touching it, I could tell that it wasn't alive anymore because the energy wasn't there. And that was so cool to me to realize that even as humans, we can be that connected to like this real force, the force is with
the
us.
force.
You know?
Oh, I'm literally
Right?
getting goosebumps as you're saying that,
Yeah.
shivers, and like also, Jessica, we're talking about women, right? That was kind of your original question.
Yeah.
I think women, just the world that we live in, there's a lot of nuances between male and female, man and woman. Womb man, we have a womb. Um, and around 1890 was right around when I really started walking in my own like feminine energy and getting to know who I was as a woman. And think about this, like we have the ability in our body to create life, to create something from nothing, to bring something from the spiritual realm and birth it into the physical realm. So just sit with that for a second because I think a lot of women just brush over that. Like, oh yeah, I can be a mother. Oh yeah, I can give birth. It's so normal, And I think it's that in itself is evidence of how powerful we are as beings, spiritual beings, creating like literal alchemists. And so that's one example. And therefore, okay, if I know I can do that with my body, what can I do with my mind? I can alchemize my feelings, my thoughts. Um, but and I'm sure men have their superpowers, but being a woman having, a cycle, being synced with the moon, I think a lot of people, yeah, just brush over these things as if it's nothing. And I don't blame them because especially in the Western world and culture and religion and things have kind of washed away. But really, if we just look at what it is, like think about this. We have a like 28 to 32 day cycle that's usually when we're in alignment, synced with the moon cycles.
Mhm.
How crazy is that? I don't think that's a coincidence.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because on the topic of faith and trust and the spiritual nature of just being human, for a lot of female clients that I have that are mothers, when they're tapping into an experience, when I'm going, has there been a time in your life when you've had some trust, when you've had some faith, where you've been able to trust that somehow you're going to figure it out? And often it's that bridge between not being a mother and motherhood, right? Like there's a baby growing inside of me. It's going to be in the world soon. And I got to have to trust that I'm going to be able to figure it out, that I'm going to be able to keep it alive, that I'm going to, learn how to be this thing I've never been before.
Jessica, you know what you said earlier of like, we are right here this whole time, right?
Yeah.
We don't have to find ourselves. We've always been here this whole time. It's like we've always been a mother this whole time. Our entire DNA, like lineage, ancestral lineage, all the women before us have been mothers. It's encoded in us. So we might not have any experience yet, but literally it's like part of our software. And so I
Mhm.
think that goes hand in hand with what you were saying of like, and motherhood is one thing, but just amongst a lot of other things, it's already within us. And so it's that trust, it's that surrendering, it's
Trust that
that like,
exactly surrender. I love that word. It's such a powerful word. It's like, it really is the key to freedom is that surrender. Yeah. All right. So, okay. So then how does this faith, this trust thing translate to, helping women confidently charge like, what they know that their services or, their products are worth? Because this is something like, that's why I say there's something in the water. Clients are, all the time, coming for all kinds of different things and somehow money works its way in, right? Money is always on the table. So yeah, I'm curious. Tell us what you do with those women.
oh, okay. This is like, I don't know, I could just take a whole episode to answer this. Couple things that come up. First of all, rejection. I think a lot of the times we're already anticipating rejection and the pain of rejection. And so that energy is already putting us in a place where, because our brains are wired for survival to avoid discomfort and pain, we have that maybe memory from our past of like times we've been rejected, times someone has said, oh, you're not worth that, or oh, who do you think you are to be charging this much? Again, that debris sticks on. So if we don't do a lot of work to release that, it just comes with us into, future, um, into the future. And even if we have taken more courses to improve our product, our service, gotten way more testimonials, know that what we have is good, it takes one bad memory to hold us back from our true potential. So that's number one. And this is kind of part of like the framework that I walk my clients through, which is first inner work. Before anything else, we have to do inner work because what you resist persists. What we avoid continues to show up. That's just the name of the game. So always like, and I'm sure you do this with your clients, like always, let's just look at those spots that it's just in the corner of our mind, but it's there.
Yeah.
That's number one.
We got to be willing to level about what's really going on, right? What you're really afraid of, or what's,
Yeah.
the real, secondary benefit for holding yourself back is it because you're worried about being rejected? Is it because you're feeling like people are going to think that you're, snobby because you're asking for that money, whatever it is, right? Like what is really going on? And when we can level, then we can give ourselves some choices.
Definitely. And it's like kind of like
Yeah.
a thread. This is just the beginning, and then we continue like unraveling, unraveling, unraveling. And it comes back to like, oh, when I was 5, I was told that da 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 da.
Yeah.
And it is that deep. Sometimes it's like you're years into the business and it really comes back to when you were 5. And I'm sure you know this. And again, counseling background. So we know that from the womb to what, 8, 9, 10, around that age, you're purely subconscious. And that's really like who we are today is a manifestation of those childhood experiences.
Yeah.
Um,
The beautiful thing is, though, as an adult, you don't actually have to remember or know about that experience at 5. You can just know that maybe there was something that got coded in at that time and that you can forgive yourself now and forgive the people and start to let it go, even without being consciously aware of it. You can
yeah,
just subconsciously start to heal that up so that you can take the actions. And that's a lot of what I do with the clients that are like, I don't know, man. I'm like, we don't need to know. It's not important. Don't ask why. Like,
yeah,
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 yeah.
totally.
Mhm.
And then also like fear, but also, fear of success. I think that's a huge one too. Because like coming back to our motherhood conversation, oh, I've never been a mother. I don't know what if it's like, I've never been a millionaire. I don't know. What can I
Yeah.
do? Like, it's the same thing. And it's just like trusting, surrendering, and also being present. You're not a millionaire yet. Let's just be here right now and trust that when that time comes, you will have gained the tools in that time to be ready
Mhm.
to face whatever it is you need to face.
You'll be ready for it. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
So so then do you have people coming in with all kinds of weird, money mindset stuff? Like is that like do you
Mm.
find that they're all mucked up?
I love that mucked up. First of all, nothing weird. I mean, I hate the term normal. That's my biggest fear, to be normal. So I love weird.
Yeah.
Um, I'm sure you do too. Let me think.
People are weird. We're weird as a species. Like that's
We're a
just like
weird
the human
species,
condition.
definitely. I think it, you know what I think it is? It's like when you've been doing something for so long, when you're an expert in your field, when that's just your whole niche and you're in the center of it, it's hard to really see the true value of what you're providing because it's become so normalized to you.
Mhm.
So it's like, oh yeah, I've been a medical doctor for 25 years and I help patients lose weight. Actually, one of my clients, we've been working on this, a functional medicine doctor. She's helped like over 30 clients lose 20 to like release, not lose, release 28 to 44 pounds in under 4 months. Now, if you know anything about health, like sometimes it's not mass amount of weight that is hard to lose. It's those 10, 20, 30, 40, just those like little, like that little bit more that's extremely difficult to completely shed away. And so it's interesting because as I'm talking to her from my point of view, I'm like, you're an expert. You know what you're doing. Wow, this is so valuable. I mean, think about the confidence, what that's worth. Maybe someone who and a lot of women are challenged with this, where every time they eat something, they're thinking everything. Oh, I'm going to be bloated. They're fearful and they're guilty before they've even taken the bite. Every time they look in the mirror, oh, I'm not happy with how I look. And then the cycle goes on and on and on for years to the point where you can't remember the last time you ate something and you didn't think about it afterwards, or you can't remember the last time you tried something on and you actually loved the way you look in the mirror without pointing out this and pointing out that and like, oh, I need to lose 5 pounds here. So it's like the work that she's doing is powerful. And yet, for whatever reason, the weird reason, it's like, oh, I don't know, like, can I really charge this much for that? And, you know, and so I always, I always talk to my clients like, when we zoom out, because again, we're so in our own internal listening, only thinking about our needs, our safety there. But let's zoom out, look at the world for what it is. And the reality is we have 8 billion people in the entire world. Do you think if you were to charge 5, 10, 20K, however much you wanted to charge for that, there wasn't at least one person in this entire world that would be more than happy to pay you that? Or 10 people or 100 people? Like, let's just look at it from like a purely statistical point of view.
Yeah. It's true. When we zoom out, when we get out of like the details and we look at the big picture,
Mhm.
all of a sudden possibility appears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, something I have to always remind my clients is like really divorce yourself from who you think is going to be the person who buys your offer.
Hmm.
Because a lot of, I mean, who we are today is just a manifestation of all of our previous thoughts, experiences, feelings. And therefore, if we know that, that means the future version of us is going to be created by how we think, feel, believe today, right? So let's shape that, even if there hasn't been a memory from the past, but shape that with a memory from the future. How do you want to feel? Who would you want to buy it? Not who has bought from you in the past or what your experiences have been, but really like get into your imagination state, that creative state. And really, I'm sure you know this too, Jessica, like there's only two states we can be in. We can either be in survival or creativity. We
Yep.
can't be in the middle, right? So this David Bayer, I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. He talks about this. You can only be in a primal state or in a powerful state.
Hmm. Yeah, you're either surviving or thriving. That's another one that people, say all the time, but it really is. It's like, are you in fear or are you in faith, right? Are you worried about something horrible going wrong, or are you trusting that it's okay and being creative and looking for possibilities and opportunities? That's it, right?
Yeah.
And, and what you do, what I do, what it sounds like, you're teaching people to do is to really look and use that bigger picture, use their imagination, use their power of choice to choose what they want to see and how they want to create it.
Definitely. Power of choice. I love that.
Yeah. hmm
Free will.
So we're almost out of time here, but before I wrap things up, I want to leave room. Is there anything, that you can leave the listeners with that maybe they can even go start taking some action on right away as they're
Mm.
listening to this, as they end it and they go, okay, cool, I want to start, working on charging what I'm worth. Like, what would that look like?
Oh, okay. A couple things. First of all, get your journal out and just script about okay, speak as if that's already you and script like your perfect day. Be very detailed. Um, like what do you charge? What do you do? What do you do for fun? But get into that imagination state again and just say, today I blah, blah, blah. Speak as if you already have that. Write it all down. And then kind of just take a look at what you wrote down and where you currently are and see what can I start doing today to start aligning with the feeling of what I wrote down. And slowly you become the person that does the things that results in the things that you want to have.
Uh, yes. I love that because one of the things that I really teach my weight loss clients is pretend you're already fit and thin. Act as though you're a fit, healthy person who, loves their body and, is active. And if you are that person, then you're going to start taking action like that person. Right. So if you are, a woman who, is owning herself and knows her worth and is enjoying her life and in that area of possibility, then how does she act? I love it. Oh, I think that's an awesome place to leave it. Okay. So thank you so much for coming on and joining me today, Becky. I'm going to leave all your contact details in the caption so that people can reach out to you and connect. And this is just so wonderful. Thank you.
So fun. Thanks for having me on, Jessica.